thank you so much, Adopting Bitcoin Conference, for having me here. I'm glad to be here with you today. And my topic of discussion is from personal experience, onboarding not just Kenya, but trying to onboard Africans onto the Bitcoin standard for the past 3 years. And I've learned a couple of lessons, and I thought maybe this will be the best time to share. Why the topic? We lost a dear member of ours called Hadia. She was activist working towards empowering marginalized communities. And the last conversation I had with her, it was in Nashville. And the question she asked me was, what motivates me to do what I do? And so that was the foundation for my talk today. I hope you enjoy it. So I love history. I see myself as a teacher, so brace yourself for some lessons today. And throughout history, after every collapse, society has undergone something. We have collapse creating pressure, and pressure creates motivation, motivation creates innovation, and eventually innovation creates rebuilding. And this has been common. It has been a common pattern that has been seen throughout countries, throughout cultures, and actually throughout centuries. And a perfect example of this is we can look at World War II, for example, when Germany and Japan went through the complete devastation, whereby they lost a lot of resources. And the pressure here was as a result of scarcity in terms of fuel, in terms of resources. And with this, for example, Japan had to come up with something to fight off this pressure, and what they did is come up with a just-in-time manufacturing process. If those of you who don't know, this is what led to the production of the Toyota. So this is more of what defined global production, because they couldn't afford wastage. When we look at Germany, for example, and they developed the Volkswagen Beetle because they focused towards efficient engineering. And with that, we can also go back to history even further back when we had the Black Death in Europe, whereby a third of Europe's population died. And with that, there was societal decay. Information was very expensive, and this led to the development of the Gutenberg printing press, that eventually led to the Renaissance and the scientific revolution as we know it right now. One thing that this shows is there's always collapse in society. And right now, I think it's important to understand, us working in this industry, we never talk about it, but we realize that for Bitcoin to come up, we are destroying an old system. And we have to prepare ourselves mentally for the rebuilding process that will come out of this. And Bitcoin is not outside of this cycle. It's actually in this cycle as well. So what I realized myself is understanding does not necessarily mean adoption, because I thought the more I educate people and tell them about Bitcoin, eventually they will care and adopt it. I was very wrong, because adoption was not an information gap, it was more of a doing gap. And with that, I had to look at, as I've said, motivation. What will motivate me to get people to use Bitcoin? And therein, I borrowed from a TED Talk, somebody called Scott Geller on YouTube, and he was talking about motivation, and he brought up the term empowerment. So with empowerment, what we are talking about here is how do I get people to be empowered? The term empowerment comes from just do it. I give you time, I give you resources, just get it done. But even with empowerment, we still need to get people to feel empowered. And feeling empowered is about them being self-motivated to use Bitcoin, to be able to work around Bitcoin. So the 4 questions that you're required to ask, or rather the 4 questions that I wanted to ask with people, as Scott Geller proposed, when you're teaching people, at the end of the day, can they do this? So can they be able to receive the skills and the training? Can they be able to open their wallet? Can they be able to use Fedi mini apps? Can they be able to use Stando? Can they be able to use Bitika easily? And that's what you call the self-efficacy. And then the next one is, will it work? Does this behavior that I'm being told to do, will it be able to impact my life? I think that's where the term, what is it called in Bitcoin that we use? We say, stay humble and stack sats. So if I stay humble and stack sats and avoid all of these cryptos, will it be able to give me this outcome that I'm being told? And the other one, so that's the response efficacy. And then we have the consequences. Is it worth it? So every time we do something, we expect an outcome out of it. And I think that's what's happened throughout BAT. So as you're telling me to adopt Bitcoin, will it be able to change my life? Will it be able to give me back time? Will it be able to give me back my savings? So that's the consequences of it. And the other one is community, because at the end of the day, you want, and also I'll add choice onto that. So there's choice and community. When people perceive choice, when they feel they are being given a choice on whether to adopt or not and not being forced into it, they can be able to take it autonomously and be able to adopt Bitcoin out of a choice that they've personally made. And with this, when they come in and they find a community that's also willing to help them adopt, then we eventually have the adoption progress that we would like. So besides that, another thing, so education versus training, whereby education will explain the why you need Bitcoin, but it is the training that will build the confidence for people to onboard and get to using it and eventually also adopt it. Why if I can say, maybe as Scott said it, maybe if you had a teenager, would you want them to receive sex education or sex training? So there's a difference in that. And that's, Bitcoin adoption behaves like work and not school. So you have to not just explain the why, but also build confidence through the doing. So let us have people use our tools practically, and that way it will form a mental memory for them to continue using it and eventually also recommend others. So, and that's where I've talked about perceiving choice. And with choice, there also comes, when you make a choice, there's something in economics that, I like economics a lot. I think economics is something that everybody should learn. So economics, as we know it, is the study of using limited resources efficiently. But also with economics, we have something called choice. And every choice you make, you have to know there's something called an opportunity cost. That is the choice of what you've let go. So if I choose to focus my time and energy and attention here, what is the opportunity cost that I am leaving out? So, and now that we have motivation and I've empowered you to go and do this thing, the next thing is economics. And that's, economics comes in as a theory of thinking, not just as a theory, but as a way of thinking. I like Ludwig's interpretation of it, whereby we talk as economics is more of a behavioral philosophy, not just the study of goods and services, but choice and human action. And what we're doing here is trying to get people to have choice to behave in a different manner away from the previous fiat system ways. So once people start asking these better questions, the next thing we have to look at is community in action. So opportunity cost is not abstract. It shows up in very many ways. Personally, I deal with grassroots because, one, I am from there. I am a product of a system that did not work. I am actually here talking about Bitcoin because I was affected dearly with what happened there after the 2008 crisis, and I realized I could either sit down or not do something about it or wake up and build a better life for me and others. And I'd like to highlight a project that's come up. I'll talk about why I chose this. This is Bitcoin Arusha. It's done by somebody called Mine Likewex. I'm sure most of you know him. He's a good musician as well in this space. And he's working towards providing reusable pads to communities in Tanzania. And reusable pads. And with this, I would like to talk about maybe the opportunity cost. For example, these young ladies they have to choose whether they can go to class and learn or stay at home and take care of their biological needs. And this is something that there's so many examples that you can find like this, especially in Africa, whereby we have been pushed to the edge. We have to make choices that affect us economically, and this is one of those. If we get these girls to school, or many other girls, or not just girls, even boys as well, they have the chance to just not change their lives economically, but also the lives of their communities. And as I've said, also, education still forms a huge part of the work that I do. I know that it is just not enough to get the education to people, but we want to try, because sometimes I feel like something serves as a reminder. When I walk somewhere and see somebody with a Bitcoin sign, I feel, yeah, that's also helping us to share the information. We have a goal. I work with Exonomia as well. We have produced a couple of Bitcoin books into Swahili, and we would like to be able to share these books with, we have 200 million Swahili speakers. I'm only looking to reach 1,000, so if you'd like to support us, please reach out to me, and we can be able to see how we can help get this knowledge to as many communities as possible. And besides that, so after we have been motivated and empowered and reached all of these people, as I've said, data is feedback, and I was one of the people who was confronted by data deeply. So I work with Machankura. I've been working with Machankura for the past 3 years. In Kenya alone, as per now, we've been able to reach 19,500 people. And this is not just my effort, it's the effort of even the community people. I can see some of you in Kenya. These numbers as a result of your effort as well. And with this data, it's uncomfortable and it doesn't confirm our bias, because, to be honest, you've had my founder, Kogatso, has talked here. Our goal was to reach at least 1 million to 1 billion users in Africa. So it's a drop in the ocean, and we need a lot of effort to be able to accomplish this, but not just our own. We want, if Blink can help us get there, if Fedi can help us get there, if any other wallet company can be able to help us get there, we'll really, really appreciate. But feedback is how motivation sharpens, and day by day the numbers are growing, and we are more motivated to get to the numbers that we would like. So another thing, demographics are destiny. So this is the demographic gap map of Africa. As you can see, I made it fancy using AI. But yeah, so Africa is very young. And a young population has different opportunity costs. They have low income, and most of them are not financially literate. But one thing is they're highly adaptable. So when you're building these products, please consider this is the African population that you're building for. Otherwise, you might end up building for a product for a population that doesn't exist, or maybe having expectations to serve a population that will not be there to receive your product. I believe, another thing I'd like to talk about is attention is the new infrastructure, because I'm specifically talking about Africa, and as you've seen, this demographic, most of them are on the internet, and that is another hard lesson I had to learn. Actually, we started seeing our numbers going up when we started leveraging the internet in which these young people are. And this guy, I don't know whether you know, does anybody know who this guy is? By show of hands, oh, thank God, I'm not alone. This is iShowSpeed. This is a popular YouTube live streamer. I did not know about him until he started his African tour. Yes, I am very disconnected. And funny thing is, if you know my husband, he actually knows who iShowSpeed was. So I was so surprised how he got to know who iShowSpeed was before me. Yes. He's connected. So this is iShowSpeed, a popular YouTube streamer, and he came to Kenya. Kenya was one of his stops, and he managed to get 48 million views. I was so surprised. I think it was a record he broke, and it made me realize that the people we want to reach are on the internet. They are on TikTok dancing and Instagram, and how can we be able to divert their attention to realize, there's a life out here that you can be able to build, and it's a beautiful life in Bitcoin as well. So this was a good lesson for me. And then, eventually, a human roadmap, or rather my human roadmap, because our roadmaps are different. One thing I want to, the questions I'd like to answer is, can I use this without failing? So whenever we're building, I want to know that people are, the product is competent enough, or whatever we're shipping, whatever is new is competent enough for people to use. And if people feel capable, they can be able to use it more often. Another thing is, does it actually work today? Whatever we are building, can it be able to serve to meet the needs that the people want to serve at that moment? Will it be able to increase their saving amount? Will it be able to have them regain back their time? And the other thing is, the consequence. Is the reward worth the effort? So as you said, if I stack sats and stay humble, will I be able to receive all the things that has been said to me? And of course, last but not least is community. I have received a lot of support with people sitting here, people out there, and you realize we cannot adapt alone. Community is required. And so, do I have people to adopt with? So that is the human roadmap. So as I've taken you through, every major transformation in history didn't start with better information. It started when people were motivated enough to act. So Bitcoin won't work just because people understand it, but it will progress when understanding turns into action. And it will fail if we forget that adoption is human. So we can fix the money, yes, but also let's fix the motivation. Thank you very much.